Hey everyone, Nicholas here from Crippled Tech, and welcome back to another video on my PC setup, specifically my graphics card. And yeah, by the title you should know, every time I want to do a video on overclocking my graphics card, something comes up, like all of this. But this time's different because this time I've already overclocked my graphics card and I have the results comparison between the results of before overclock and after the overclock, so I can show you the performance difference. And that is what prompted the topic of this video. Should you overclock your graphics card? Is overclocking graphics card in 2024 into 2025 still worth it for modern graphics cards? So for your information, my graphics card is the RTX 3070 Ti, a Galaxy model, NVIDIA's 30 series, yes. And I use MSI Afterburner, the software, to tune the core clock settings and memory clock settings to overclock my graphics card. And I use 3DMark's Port Royal benchmark to run it on a loop to determine the stability of the overclock during the overclock. To be honest, overclocking really eats up a lot of your time, so that yeah, it takes up a lot of time to test for stability. So what I did was, after the overclock is stable in the Port Royal loop, it doesn't mean that it's stable in the games that you play. So after that overclock, I have to test the overclock settings in each game that I play, so to fine-tune settings. So the settings that I settled with, the overclock settings that I settled with, is plus 100 MHz on the core clock. That allows my GPU to boost up to around average of 2000 MHz on the core clock, which is pretty good for a 30 series graphics card. And memory clock is around, I think, plus 1000 MHz, which is a lot for memory overclock, but it is memory is a lot more sensitive, so the stability is still in testing, in question, so that is not finalized yet. But the results ran through, so the results you are about to see are with those settings. So we'll start with the synthetic benchmark scores. I ran a lot of 3DMark tests and Unigine superposition as well. We'll start with the first one on the chart, Steel Nomad, which is I ran it in DirectX 12. As you can see, in Steel Nomad, the score increased from 3379 to 3500 plus with the overclock. For Port Royal, the ray tracing benchmark, the score increased from 8800 plus to 9371. And TimeSpy Extreme, 7200 plus to nearly 7800. For TimeSpy, quite a big jump in the score from 14,000 plus to 15,600 plus. And for Unigine's superposition benchmark, which is quite old, around the time frame of TimeSpy, I think, I don't remember, it increased from a score of 11,500 plus to 12,361. That is the score improvements of the synthetic benchmarks with the overclock. And the next chart you see here is the average frame rate got from the benchmarks. You see TimeSpy Extreme and TimeSpy does not have any results. That's because those two benchmarks do not give any average frame rate results, so that they are empty here. So for Steel Nomad, it increased from 33.8 FPS to 35.93 FPS with the overclock. Port Royal increased from 40.8 FPS to 43.39. And as for superposition, I forgot to mention I ran it at 4K, the preset 4K settings, it increased from 86.57 FPS to 92.46 FPS. That is quite a big jump for a synthetic benchmark. So we can move on to the actual gaming benchmarks. The three games that I ran are Overwatch, Marvel Spider-Man Remastered, and Star Wars Jedi Survivor. I chose these three games because for Overwatch, it represents the high FPS shooter game, and Marvel Spider-Man Remastered and Jedi Survivor are the two contenders for AAA title games. Spider-Man for the older one, and Jedi Survivor for the newer AAA title. And yes, I know that there are newer games now. Jedi Survivor is not quite new now, but it is the newest game that I have in my library. So that is why I'm using that as the new AAA title game for my benchmark. I only ran 3 games because, yeah, time, of course. So looking at the performance chart for Overwatch, I could not disable, I cannot find a way to disable DLSS, so these are results with DLSS. And as you can see, this is where the performance improvements really dip off. In Overwatch, the overclock only increased the frames from 197 to 206. So that is a very small improvement. You can't really tell while you're playing the game. It's not enough of an improvement that you can notice in game while you're playing it. Now, moving on to Jedi Survivor and Spider-Man Remastered. Here I ran both games with and without DLSS. So let's focus on the results without DLSS enabled first. For Jedi Survivor, the FPS only improved from 30 FPS average to 32.1 FPS after the overclock. So only a 2.1 frame per second improvement with the overclock. And for Spider-Man Remastered, it improved the FPS from 33.4 to 37.4. Not really noticeable in playing games. As you can see in Spider-Man Remastered, the FPS gains are a lot more than Jedi Survivor. And if we look at the DLSS results, if we run it with DLSS without the overclock, Jedi Survivor managed to run with 46.6 frames per second, and after the overclock with DLSS, it improved to 49 FPS average. And for Spider-Man Remastered with DLSS, it improved from 47.6 FPS to 48.8 FPS with DLSS on. And all of these games ran with DLSS on DLSS quality mode, so it's the same, it doesn't change. For those who don't know what DLSS is, DLSS is NVIDIA's own proprietary AI technology that allows a game to render the game at a lower resolution and upscales it to your target resolution. In my case, I ran all of the benchmarks in 4K, so upscaling it to 4K with AI, and that allows FPS improvements with minimal impacts to the visual fidelity. So as you can see with the performance results I got, the performance gains I got from overclocking shows a lot more in benchmark scores improvements and with older AAA title games. But with what I know with the game that I tested with, Jedi Survivor and Spider-Man Remastered, Jedi Survivor uses more ray tracing than Spider-Man Remastered does. Even though Spider-Man Remastered does support ray tracing, Jedi Survivor uses ray tracing more heavily than Spider-Man does. That may be a reason why the improvement is not as prominent in Jedi Survivor. So my own take is that overclocking has more impact on benchmark scores than actually increasing gameplay performance in general to a noticeable degree. Like with Overwatch, you won't be able to notice that few FPS improvements at such a high frame rate. You just won't notice it. Plus, my panel is 144, so the maximum that I can see from my display is 144 frames per second. So anything beyond that, if improvements, is just not getting shown to my eyes. And as for the two AAA title games that I ran, the performance improvements, the frame rate gains, just from overclocking either with or without DLSS, the improvements just from overclocking, whether or not you might be able to notice it, it depends on the person. Some people are more sensitive to frame rates than others. So as for me, I don't really notice it that much, the performance, the frame rate improvements. I definitely notice the performance jump by enabling DLSS though, because that performance jump, the FPS gains from DLSS is much more than overclocking can bring to the game itself. So the improvements from overclocking has really dipped down in the last few years. That is due to the fact that modern graphics cards, to my knowledge, have their own pretty mature and advanced boosting algorithm out of the box that already boost the card near its maximum limit. So you end up just using a lot of time while overclocking, just fine-tuning settings just to get a few percentage more performance. So with that in mind, is it still worth it to overclock your graphics card in 2024/2025? So my take is, whether or not overclocking a graphics card is worth it in 2024 or 2025, that depends on what you actually want. Are you aiming to improve your performance, your gaming performance by a long shot? Or are you just trying to enjoy the process of tweaking settings and push the benchmark scores up? With modern graphics card acting the way it is, boosting to near its maximum, nowadays, overclocking graphics cards now seems to be losing its purpose. But it is still worth a shot for some people. I acknowledge that it doesn't appeal to everyone. For casual gamers who just want to sit and game without worries, and if you want to increase your performance, just don't bother with overclocking, because it's time consuming and it's too much hassle to go through for casual gamers. If you want to improve performance, just use upscaling features like DLSS for NVIDIA if you have a supported NVIDIA graphics card, or AMD's FSR and Intel's XeSS, the similar technologies for each of their companies. But for people who like to tweak around settings and push benchmark scores performance up as high as possible, overclocking is the only way, and it can be very rewarding. It is a very rewarding experience, provided you have the patience with it, because overclocking requires a lot of testing to deal with the instabilities. You have to find the stability spot where your overclock works. So that requires a lot of patience. So that is the performance improvements I got from overclocking my graphics card. I'll still be monitoring my overclock to see if it's stable. The core clock is definitely stable. I don't know if the memory is stable enough though, so that still requires monitoring, and I will probably not do another video on this subject again unless there's something interesting that happened, so you can look forward to that in the future. But that's pretty much it for this video. So what are your thoughts? Any tips for me on how to overclock my graphics card? Have you overclocked your graphics card before? If not, are you going to try to overclock your graphics card? Leave it down in the comment section down below. Have a discussion there. Thanks for watching until the end. I hope this video has helped you in some way, and if it has, or if you just enjoyed the video, leave a like and subscribe to Crippled Tech for more tech content in the future. Nicholas signing out. ご視聴ありがとうございました。また次の動画でお会いしましょう。じゃあね。